All right. So today is a little bit different than usual. I typically have a lot of coaches on the podcast, but I really want to try to get more athletes for you guys who have gone through a lot of the journeys that you guys want to go through or you guys are going to go through. And so today I have Boston Stanley. He is a current JUCO baseball player at Hartnell College. Boston is a 2025 high school grad who went through a lot of uncertainty late in his senior year. The school he originally planned on committing to actually fell through like right at the end of the year. And suddenly everything went up in the air. But instead of panicking, though, he doubled down on what he could control in terms of finding another school, but also just continuing to work on his nutrition, his recovery, all the other things, so that when he found his next home, he was in a much better position that fall. And so, one thing I really, really like about Boston, I'm really excited to for you guys to hear about, is the time and energy that he put into the nutrition because it was actually hard for a while because he wasn't, his initial goal, he wasn't able to actually see those results right away. We'll talk about that more, but he really wanted a certain goal and it wasn't happening right away because we had to go into the baseball season. But then he eventually got those results and probably more once he wrapped up that season. So we'll talk about that more, and we'll talk to Boston about just a lot of that uncertainty and a lot of those challenges. So Boston, that was a long intro, but thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's just start with the college piece. So when you were late in your senior year, like we were just talking, it was like May or June. It was like right at the end of the school year that you were like lining up to go to a certain school, and then that fell through.
Yeah,
Um, just expand on that and like what was kind of going through your head.
yeah. I mean, for a couple months since like early mid January, I was verbally committed there, just waiting for the admissions to come through and say everything was going to work out. And me and the coaches were going back and forth talking about scholarship numbers that we could agree on. And then I going into the season, I was happy, like had nothing to worry about. I had committed to a school that I was really happy about, so I had no worries for roughly about the first half of the season. And then kind of fell through middle late of my high school season, and I kind of for a couple of days was losing my mind, like, oh, this is going through a lot of different emotions, like being mad, being upset, being super sad, like this isn't going to work out. And went through a bunch of different appeals to try and see if it could eventually work out, and then eventually couldn't. But so it kind of threw me for a loop, but I knew, like, regardless of what's going to happen, there's other schools that are going to want me. But I kind of shut down talking to any other schools at that point. So I had kind of had nothing. I had to start fresh again with like really less than 6 months before I had to be in person at the school on campus. It was rough at first to kind of figure out, like, all my other friends, all my other guys, they're all committed to going to these schools. They're planning out who their roommates are going to be, how their classes, and I'm trying to get posted on Twitter weekly, it felt like. And I had a great senior season, so that helped a lot. I ended up being an all-state player, and I was one of two guys at that whole event that was an uncommitted player, especially that late. And I think that was late June. And the other guy ended up coming to University of Washington. It was a friend of mine, so it was cool to see him go through something kind of similar. But yeah, it was really important for me and my family just to continue like going hard at this, even though kind of some crap fell through. You just got to keep pushing through and figuring out how to keep stacking up the days, stacking up the numbers, so that way when eventually you do get on campus, because knew I was good enough to get somewhere. It just wasn't going to be maybe a perfect situation, is what we were thinking. Ended up being a really great situation I landed into. Kind of Hartnell, I want to say, started on field level, then on Twitter, and then at that point I had some other schools like super low level junior colleges or D3s or NAIs or the forget the other another low level 4 year schools, and it was like, oh, I don't know, this is gonna be a rough pit to come out of, and then they came out of nowhere, kinda,
Mm.
and it was really nice to see everything and going on the phone with them and all their coaches in the area they were on. It was just great opportunity that I fell into my lap, thankfully, very late, which I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so cool. Like I remember being with you in that journey and kind of hearing the process and hearing the things. And I mean, we were just texting, so I wasn't even really hearing like what was going on in your head and like the energy, and so yeah, I can imagine there was a lot of stress. But I also saw, like you said, you went to the event. How many schools do you think you were reaching out to or connecting with, like during that time period?
It was, about 5 to 7 different schools, and I wanted to go be I'm a position player right now, and I two-wayed I threw off the mound as a pitcher in high school, but I didn't wanna do that at all. I knew I wasn't good enough, I knew I didn't like it, but half the schools wanted me to go be a pitcher, so really, there was only, like, 2 to, like, 5 schools, that range, I forget exactly, that were looking at me, I was talking to consistently. So, and they weren't perfect, and I was looking for something that was gonna help me achieve to my next goal.
Yeah, yeah. So those were the schools you were having conversations with. Did you reach out to a lot more schools, or was it from that event that you connected with teams?
I reached out to hundreds, I think, between all different levels, like, I went up that whole conference of the school that didn't work out, emailed that entire conference. I hold heard back from, like, less than 10 of them out of the hundreds. It was rough at times just looking at that, like, I'm looking at who their guys are getting, it's like, I'm way better than that guy. I get 250 in high school, and I'm hitting 475. It's you see just that stuff when you can't let it get in your head too much, like, that guy, the coach, he's bringing in a worse player than me, that's okay. It's his decision, not mine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's like, I mean, I want to call out again. You reach out to hundreds of schools like that. I think athletes need to remember that because I don't think all of them really understand that. Just like from the start. But I think you also had the disadvantage of being in a small town in
Yeah.
Washington State of all places, and so I think that like made it a little bit trickier. But the fact that you still reached out to so many schools, you still pushed so hard. Um, and you proved it and you found a really good opportunity, so I love that.
Yeah, it was definitely being from a small school in middle of nowhere, Washington, that people 30 minutes away haven't heard of.
Yep.
That was so hard, especially players from Washington alone already have it way harder just because we don't play as much baseball as guys from Cali, the guys from Texas, the guys from the South. We just don't play as much baseball because due to the weather. We're in the indoor facilities doing all this other stuff, but you can't replicate playing the game of baseball like those other states can.
Yeah, yeah. I actually that made me think about when you were like, oh, 30 minutes away and all of that. That made me think about so one thing that also I had huge respect for what you have done is I don't know how many years you were doing this for, but through high school or a good chunk of high school, you're driving an hour and a half every day each way to train at some facilities here in the Seattle area. Like you were crossing bridges or maybe taking the ferries, like you were taking like trips every day, and then doing online school. Like, like talk about that and like why you made that decision and yeah, that process.
After my freshman year, I had a pretty good freshman year, even though it was a smaller school, like, still as a freshman, the numbers I put up was an all league guy as a freshman, like, me and my family looked at it like, I know I'm not doing enough that I can, there's way more I could be doing, and I kinda wanna see what that looks like, so, after my freshman year, we made a decision kinda later in the summer to do online school. Now, I would say this was a bad a little sidestep, I would call it, after this year because there was a local gym about 30 minutes away, just a gym, no baseball side. And I would do that every morning. I'd wake up around 7 a.m., go get a lift in with my mom, who had to drive me at that point because I wasn't old enough to have my license. And we fell into this spot where it's like, I'm doing all this gym stuff. I'm getting in shape. There weren't athlete specific workouts. So I was almost getting that bodybuilder build, started to see stuff stack up. Like wasn't used to go hanging out with my friends every single day for 6 hours. Didn't have a good schedule. School was doing better, but it wasn't amazing at times. We got in some fights, just like homework. Like this is what do you mean? You're my mom. You don't tell me how to do algebra or something, and had some trips to Florida for some national baseball events. Those mixed results, which I think I don't regret, but I wish I could have gone back and looked at them a little bit differently if knowing what I know now. But after my sophomore year, I had one of the worst seasons I think I've ever had in my life through 20 games. It was really bad. So then it was like I was at the verge of like, this isn't worth it. I should just go drop everything, just be a high school baseball player, normal high school student. But my family thankfully didn't let me do that. They kind of pulled me aside, like, let's think about something else that's better. Not just continue to do what we did because that obviously didn't work. So we were looking at baseball facilities that are produce guys and driveline baseball, which is pretty close to considering everything. National level facility only from about me about hour with no traffic. Anywhere could be 2 hours depending on the traffic. And we thought this is a perfect opportunity. These guys have so many big leaguers, so many college players. Let's do it. Let's give it one more shot. And then so I went in there late summer, around August, I think, of going into my junior year and tested not poorly, but some areas poorly, some areas pretty solid, and kind of just decided like we're gonna do this year. They have a weight room there, they have a program. I'm gonna do fully commit. I'm doing online school, and I'm just gonna drive, make the commute by myself now, about an hour, hour and a half, 6 days a week because they want to open on Sundays. So I did that, and it was for a year. I made tremendous leaps. Like I went from hitting only ground balls, not being able to do much. For a guy my size, I needed to hit homers, especially, and I just wasn't doing that consistently. And it still took me a little bit while, but I started eventually figuring it out. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And every year I keep going back and it just keeps building on top of stuff. And going into my senior year, I made kind of late senior year before this high school season. We knew like, hey, like we did some of the drive line worked, but now we're doing everything else, doing all these lifts, doing all these hitting. It's like I'm only getting so much better now that I've kind of done this. So what's the next step that we can do to find where I can actually put my game to the next level? And we're like, let's look at my diet. And we did like a week of just truly like looking what I eat. It's like, oh, that's horrible. This is not good at all. Like this is like blue collar what construction workers eat, not a guy who's trying to be a collegiate baseball player. So then we started. My mom went from just looking on Instagram stuff, try and find like it's like, that didn't work. It sometimes that didn't work, sometimes it did work. We're just tired of this inconsistency. So we my mom, I believe, found you first is when we went into that and it was a game changer right away.
Yeah, so I mean, I love like again the commitment. Like I love I number one, your story relates to so many people because the highs and the lows, and a lot of people, a lot of kids, athletes will quit when they hit those kind of those bumps in the road. And you almost did a couple times, but
Yeah.
you're like, no, like keep going, just find another route. And it's like, I mean, when you're named after a pro baseball team, you kind of, it kind of helps a little bit maybe, um no, it's like I think yeah, I think just the commitment that you had, but then also with the nutrition, because I know you guys had tried a little bit, like you said, you kind of experimented a little bit, and I know she had told me at one point that she like searched a few different times online to see if she could find like even nearby, like local in Washington, and I think at the time I wasn't showing up as much, and then it was like a few months later suddenly I was popping up, but I want to speak to though, I want you to be able to speak to is like what really changed when we like first started? Like, what do you feel like helped you the most?
On the nutrition side,
Yeah.
I would say honestly, when I was having before, just obviously really bad protein intake, like maybe less than 100 grams a day. And as a bigger guy, I need way more than that. Just not getting any sort of fruits or veggies in consistently, like none of that. No healthy carbs. All the carbs were from straight like white bread all the time, or like a lot of fried food, a lot of fast food, just all that led to like just overall poor hygiene, poor sleep, poor energy consistently. Kind of everything on the physical side was super inconsistent. And that aligned with how I was hitting and how I was lifting. Like there's days and weeks where it'd be like, oh, I'm doing amazing. But then there'd be like the next day, it's like not even close, slept like crap, and then did all this that just didn't lead into anything. And then, especially for games and tournaments, like when I'm in the third game of the day and it's 100 degrees and you're in central Washington and it's like being down on you. It's like before it was just like, I'm hit a wall. I can't do much now. I'm just gonna jog it out because I can't. I physically can't. I'm gonna pull up with a cramp. Gonna pull a muscle. Having constant little knick-knack injuries that would just keep me away because I wasn't hydrated enough. Feel like just overall the whole nutrition side like helped me physically to a whole different level. Like everything now is like I know exactly what I need to get in to put myself as an A game.
Mm, mm. Yeah, and that's I mean, those were a lot of the things I remember, like, I specifically remember you talking about, like, because you would do Driveline and Big League Edge, like, you'd have 2
Yeah.
back-to-back workouts, and you're talking about, like, Monday, Tuesday, you were feeling, like, gassed and then trying to start the week like that, and then you just, like, couldn't catch up, basically. And so I think, like, from what I remember, and this is why, like, I put it in the book too, like, when I use you as a mentor in the book is, like, one of the big things we addressed was the fueling around the workout. So like what worked for you, or what really, especially because again the fruits and the veggies weren't as present, the protein and stuff, but what really helped you around those workouts?
I want it was actually getting something in between them, like anything. Before it was like, maybe a protein bar, maybe a Cliff Bar with like an energy drink at 5 p.m. just to keep the energy out. Which obviously just a horrible idea. And looking back at it now, like that could might be some of the worst things I could have done was that stuff. But I remember right we did smoothies. I had got a portable blender, and I would bring in frozen berries, a little bit of spinach, protein powder, and some milk. So that was the main part. Then I'd have a sandwich so I could get some healthy carbs in right before. I want to say I had a Cliff Bar too because a little that's not bad.
Mhm.
And then fruit bar, and then something else occasionally, like some peanuts or some cashews maybe. Something along those lines, and that was able to fill me just enough, like, after my workout there, it's like, "Okay, now I have an hour, hour and a half. Let's fill up, relax for a little bit, do some homework, go in there and actually have a good practice instead of just being wasting time over there, like, oh, now I'm tired. I can't do anything. Just I look like crap in front of everyone else."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's where yeah, you like I think that's the key thing with nutrition. A lot of athletes they come for the bigger, stronger, or to get leaner, stronger, and it's like, well, hey, let's first just make you feel better during your
Mhm.
workouts. Like that makes such a difference. But I want to I want to touch on too. I think this is really important because a lot of athletes, when they're trying to get bigger, stronger, they're trying to get leaner, stronger, especially on the leaning outside, they tend to get frustrated from not seeing those specific results right away, not losing the weight or not losing the body fat. Like that was kind of a little bit of your experience of like not seeing those types of results right away, but seeing some of the other results. What helped you get through that? Like not yeah, what got you through that time?
I remember not complaining, but, like, being a little unhappy with I don't know, to be unhappy with myself, like you, like, the diet, I don't know what's going on, like, I'm feeling great, workouts are going amazing, lifts are getting higher, I'm hitting better, I'm throwing better, everything's going better except that number on the scale, which eventually I just after a little bit, you're like, it's if everything else is going good, you're looking better, you are getting a little bit leaner, the number is the only thing not going down or getting better. And it was eventually I just had to look at myself and be like, well, I can't, I'm doing everything like we wanted. We're getting the results out of it. Just because a stupid number on a scale set doesn't agree with what I'm putting in. It's like everything else is going better. So that's what I had to keep reminding myself is like, I can be doing all this. The scale number doesn't mean as much. It's what happens out there, what is consistently putting out all the effort, all the energy, getting all that in. As long as that stuff keeps showing up every single day, then I'm doing everything good. And eventually I know the results are going to show.
Yeah, dude, I love that. And I mean, yeah, like you said, you had a really strong senior season. Like everything felt really good. Um, what do you feel like? Because you now have seen those results and gotten more lean out and saw the scale move. What do you feel like? I mean, first of all, you can kind of talk about the time frame of when that started or when you started seeing that change. But also do you think helped with that?
Yeah, I think it was around January or maybe a month or two after, some around there. I ended up connecting with you. The number was meaned a lot. And after the first month, it was like, in the first week, I dropped like 4 pounds right away, but I think that was just from like truly cutting out all the fast food, all the super unhealthy stuff. after a week and still doing the same stuff, same workouts twice a day I was doing. So, and then after like the next week was like down to two, and then the next week was like one. Then it slowly was like half a pound or zero each week. And it was kind of a kick in the punch in the face, like, oof, I'm doing all this work and just went out of nowhere, just stop. But you were kind of saying like that's gonna happen. Like we knocked off all the super, just the hot top shelf stuff, like stuff that's gonna come off super easy. Now the next stuff that's true work is what's gonna show the next 5 to 10 pounds over the next 6 months. That's the stuff that's gonna take work consistently day in and day out. And it didn't show during the season because we the main goal during season is not to cut or lose weight. It's to perform on the field. That's the number one goal every time. Perform on the field. Everything else is second. And then you said kind of you were saying like after the season's over, we're gonna start looking at those numbers. And we're gonna see changes. And I just had to believe you at the time, and I did. I think it was right around late summer was when I early summer to late summer is when I started seeing drastic changes. Like, oh, this is my body's like actually catching up with how I feel now. Like it looks pretty better than it has in years since I was just a little boy. Like it feels amazing. And then when I got into school, like, it only got better because now I was controlling what I was buying. I was controlling what was in the house. I was just being more active, obviously, with a college baseball schedule. So now I'm even better than I was before. So it's just been an amazing right now.
Yeah, yeah. So two things I want to speak on, or have you speak on. So the first one is you talked about right at the end there, you what you had in or what you have in your apartment at in California versus what you have at home. Like, what are some of those big distinctions that really help you in terms of what you have in your apartment versus yeah at home?
I want to just mainly the food that I don't buy here back in Washington. Like, it's obviously my sister, my dad, my mom. They're not trying to be college athletes. That's not their goal. So they can eat however they want, kind of like they can have that stuff. So, but when I see it, like right there, it's so much way more tempting. All that type of stuff. Versus when I'm down there, it's like what I don't takes way more effort to go out of my way down a whole different aisle than all the other stuff to buy it. When I'm down California shopping, it's like the main thing's gonna be like chicken, chicken tenderloins, and there's frozen chicken at Costco that was pretty good for me. That is my go-to when I'm in a crunch, which is majority of the time. That's what I go to. And then I have these instant rice things. Those are my go-to on top of my smoothies. That's majority of my eating is done like 70, 80% is through that stuff right there.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and it's like you said, it's just so much easier when you don't have the environment basically, and that's where usually
Mhm.
I try to encourage like, hey, if we're able to make some changes of like just what's at home, I think that makes a big difference. And so it's nice that you have that control. I also remember like, do you feel like you eat out less now compared to because it seemed like you guys ate out fairly often at home compared to maybe in California?
Yeah, I mean, me and my family, which when we're here, it's obviously there's a reason, like, have Sunday fun day, kinda go out shopping, go out to eat, versus when I'm down there, it's like, I don't got the extra money to go spend $40 on a lunch or a dinner. It's like, that's, like, maybe a once a month thing on maybe. So, just simply money and time, like, I don't got the money or the time to be going out for lunch, going out for dinner consistently. It's gotta keep it to what I need every day to make me, like, the best baseball player I can be.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that you mentioned too, though, in a previous answer was you were talking about like the number one priority in season is to perform, it's not to lean out. And this was something that you had even said, like, I didn't even have to say this to you. Um, can you talk about that one? Because I think some athletes still think, oh yeah, I've got to lean out during season, just no matter what, just keep leaning out, like lose weight, like expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that's always in my mind, number 1 is just performing. You got once you get to the field, it's perform. So everything I do outside of it's like, I don't care if I have an extra couple hundred calories to make sure I have that energy. If I don't have that energy at all and I perform like crap, no one's gonna want me. No one's gonna want someone who's lean, but you're like a 10 times worse baseball player. That doesn't matter. They'll take the dude who's way better at baseball than the dude who's lean, but he can't hit a baseball right now because he's about to fall asleep because he didn't get his energy in or sleep in because of the poor of eating or no eating.
Hmm.
That was just number one. Like, no matter what I do, I'm here to play baseball, perform, not be a bodybuilder. That was not my goal.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I love that. Like that's it's very wise of you. Again, I remember when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, like you had told me, like, I know my goal right now isn't to lean. It's just to like, I just want to perform. And I think you'd even mentioned, like, I think maybe a previous season or something of like trying that and it not like feeling well. You're like, I know I lost weight during a previous season and that really impacted how I performed.
Yeah, I think it was my junior season, the year before my senior season. I was still trying to like lose weight, and it's like, oh, I'm just not gonna eat as much, gonna go in a calorie deficit. And I kind of started that almost like right around baseball season, which is was a dumb idea. I knew I had so much more in the tank that I could do. It's like, why would I waste? It's really dumb looking back at it because I could have just been a 10 times better baseball player, had a better season. But instead, I just wanted to try and lose weight by eating less. So it ended up being like practices were bad. Games were like after the fourth or fifth inning, by the time I got to my third at bat, it was rough. It was just like sleepwalking out there essentially.
And I hear a lot of athletes talk about that when they try to like I had to course correct a few like at least one guy last season I had to course correct because I was like, "Hey, like this isn't going to work if you're trying to do it this way. Like it's not going to
Mm,
go well."
no.
Yeah.
Even
Um
this year during the fall, we our fall games are 14 innings long, so straight.
oh,
It's
okay.
crazy long, so it's like, I even had to prepare myself. I'm like, "Alright, I'm gonna have to bring snacks into the dugout with me for the middle of the game because I got a doubleheader in one game without no break."
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys didn't, and you could see some of them slowly start to be worse and worse, and I kinda was still the same throughout the whole game, which was something I kinda felt very proud of in the moment.
Yeah. Dude, that's one of my favorite things to hear because you're not the first person to tell me that of like you go into college and you're able to kind of outlast some of the others because they haven't figured out the nutrition yet.
Mhm.
I've had a basketball player that told me something very similar and it's like, yeah, no, it makes a difference. Like you just if you can last longer, you can perform better. So
Yeah, like, another example is we had a to end our fall, our official fall, we had a 5 AM lift, which is not normal for us. Our coach values, like, our sleep, which is very awesome. He
mm,
values that very much, so we have our lifts normally at night after everything.
mm,
But this one was he wanted to kinda test us mentally to end the fall. It was a 5 AM lift, and everyone's super all the returners were like everyone puked. It's and then like, it wasn't too much of the workout, it was just everyone was early. I'm like, "That's weird." The workout didn't seem that hard the way they explained it to me. So I made sure the night before, like, I'm gonna prep my breakfast right now because I know at 3:30 in the morning when I have to eat this, I'm not gonna wanna be able to cook, and I'll just end up not eating anything.
mm.
So I got my carbs in about an hour before the workout started. So I think I ate them around 4, and then going into the workout, I was, like, talking to people, like, what they ate, and it's like about half the team said they didn't eat anything, half the team had said they had a granola bar, energy drink, and some of them, like, I'm gonna be honest, they're way more in shape, physically in shape than me. But they're out there puking after the first one because they had nothing in their body at all for a 5 AM intense workout. And I'm over here kinda crushing it, being the top one of the better guys right now, which is was the cardio-based workout was not the expectation or goal, but I was because I properly fueled myself.
Dude, that is so that is so awesome. I mean, not awesome that they threw up, but it's
Yeah.
also like, hey, maybe it'll be a wake-up call for them to be like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing over here?"
Mhm.
And that's also an opportunity for you to be a team lead in a sense of like, "Hey, like, why don't you try this next time we have to do that?" Or, like things like that for sure.
Yeah. I definitely told them after, it's like, "Hey, like, let's be honest, who's more in shape here? You're more in shape, and I just kinda kicked your butt there for no reason, like, go get some carbs in, and you're gonna kill that, like,
Mm.
figure it
Dude,
out next time, like, learn from that, like, you'll be all good."
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Um, what, let's see. What would you say were like the big surprises for you? Like as you learned about the nutrition, what were some like big surprises that you were like, "Oh, I wouldn't expect this type of thing."
Sleep being better. That for some reason, that was, like, the number one thing where, like, when I'm having a proper nutrition when I'm consistent, like, I get great sleep. I fall asleep right when I kinda want to, like, right when it's bedtime for me, it's like, I have no problem, which versus when I kinda fall off, like, for a meal or something, I can kinda tell, like, I don't get as much good of sleep. Just I thought for some reason that blew my mind. Like I felt like eating better, you'd have way more energy and wouldn't be able to fall asleep, but it's the complete opposite.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's it's actually something I talked about. I feel like in the last week, I forget in what context, but I did talk about that of like, yeah, if you're going to bed, like you trained, but then you didn't actually fuel properly, yeah, your body is still in this like stressful state. So it's gonna make it hard for you to actually like relax and get that good rest. So yeah. Um what about like let's we can kind of lean towards wrapping up here, but I really want to give you the floor of, if you're speaking to the high school athlete, like what would be like three top things that you would really the top three pieces of advice you'd want to give them?
Number 1 is just keep working through it, regardless what you see, like, your teammates you see one of your teammates who you think you're better than commits to a school you wanted to go to. Just keep working through it, like, don't let emotions take over and you be upset, like, "Oh, how did I not get that scholarship?" Just keep working through it, it's eventually gonna pan out. If you keep working through everything, you will get the reward one day. Figure out what you're good at, advertise that the most. For me, it was how hard I could hit a ball, how far I could hit it. That's what I was good at. That's what I advertised the most, and that's what everyone kinda on the all the coaches looked at first. They didn't Some of them didn't care about defense because they saw I could hit it a mile. They're like, "We'll figure that out later. I don't care where you play." But if you're trying to don't advertise what you're bad at either. For me, I rarely advertise my speed. That's not my number one thing. I wasn't horrible at it, but I'm not great at it. I'm not gonna advertise that in every single one. And then lastly, nutrition is it's something like crazy to say, but it's huge difference between my junior season, senior season nutrition. Like ending the games ninth, seventh inning, ninth inning, you're up. You want to be fully ready to go. Like being that guy, the same guy you are in the ninth inning as you are the first, that makes a huge difference, especially in the ninth inning as you get to the higher levels. That's when the best pitcher is going to be out there. He's going to be out there. His goal, he's fresh. You're not. You've been playing 8 innings most likely. You want to be there in the ninth inning as 100% as you can be. And nutrition is going to be the number one reason why.
Yeah, dude. So good. So good. So many, and I love that you hit different angles there, like the mindset of it, the performance aspect of it, and then the nutrition. Like it's again so huge. And I just first of all just want to say I appreciate you hopping on, Boston. This was
Thank you.
really good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And if listeners have questions reaching out, like what they want to reach out to you, is like Instagram the easiest way to reach out, or Twitter?
Instagram will probably be the easiest. Yeah.
Okay, I'll drop that in the caption, the show notes below. So for anybody who are like, hey, I want kind of hear more about this or have questions, like definitely he's a great resource as you guys heard today. But yeah, listeners, I mean, you guys already got your three things. Boston already gave them to you, so start applying them. Rewind this if you need to re-listen to that, and start applying those. Start taking those things more seriously because clearly it's going to take you a lot further than if you just keep doing what you've already been doing. So thanks again, Boston. And for the listeners, as always, keep striving for greatness.